Well, thanks for having me on. So yeah, we'll dive in. I'm Mike, I'm the creative director at Ghost. So we're a brand agency, and we're focused on strategy and design. And with our clients, we help them to build brands people believe in, essentially. Yeah, so really, all our process is about is helping businesses connect with people, essentially, because people are the people who dictate whether that brand will be successful. So that's the route we go down. And that's really the ultimate goal of what we do. So the job that we do is to ask tough questions, which allows us to really get the meaningful answers and build a truth behind the brand and enable them to actually engage with with their audience. Um, So typically, we work with scale-up businesses. So they've got to a stage where they've realized that they've got something special, that they are making a big success of their business. But over time, as they've got more people on board, they've started to lose sight of maybe the reason they started in the first place. So their brand's got a bit fuzzy, and yeah, our job is to kind of help them clarify that, help them to bring everyone back onto the same page. So a great example of that sort of business is Secure Cloud Plus. What they do is they're providers of secure technology platforms for uh, defense industry and government type businesses. So for a bit of context, they're over 10 years old. They're one of when they came to us last year, like sort of November time. They're one of the UK's fastest growing companies. So they were looking for a rebrand that enabled them to look the part, essentially. So, like I say, for context, this is what they were using at the time. They didn't really talk much about themselves, but when they did, they relied heavily on this sort of cloud icon and military imagery, and very much the color orange as well. So, yeah, it was November sort of time. They reached out and sort of gave us this brief to rebrand them, but with the key objectives really were that they wanted to kind of improve their brand to be seen as the strategic partner for defense organizations, to look the part, to become the leader in the field, because they're pretty much the only provider of this solution. So, and they just felt that their brand wasn't echoing that. The other kind of key thing they said that they wanted to mirror the ethos of the defense industry. And that's, the strength, the dedication to making the world safer. And really, as said, sort of, they knew that the route they'd gone down before needed improving. And they wanted to find a unique way to kind of tell their story, but without using this kind of military or technology kind of cliched imagery. So all our projects start this or go through the same process, I guess. Typically, to most design kind of solutions, we follow this double diamond type process. So discovery is how we always start. It's always about finding out as much as possible about that brand and that business as possible. So it's about exploring, learning, asking lots of questions, um, to get a broad understanding. And then we move on to the strategic side, where it's actually now answering those questions, defining what the business is going to be, what the brand is going forward, setting a direction so everyone can get back on the same page, essentially, and clarify the fuzzy, as I mentioned before. So about this point, the whole point is to get a very defined idea of what that brand is going to be. So that's kind of like a key corner, well, a key milestone in the project before we move back into the kind of exploring the playful stage where we're now asking how are we going to visualize that? How does that look and communicate to the audience. So that's where the design stage is very much about exploring again, and that's not necessarily visually; it's verbally as well. What the messaging is going to be. Sometimes audio as well, and different. It depends what the brand is. Lots of different ways. How are they going to communicate essentially? And then the activation is when we deploy the brand. So that's rolling out different brand assets, and putting in place different ways that the brand is now going to action this strategy and design. So let's start with the discovery. So for Secure Cloud Plus, these were the five topics we were trying to look into, try to delve into their brand. So it's always around what are their strengths? So what makes them a credible business? What are they great at? How do the customers feel? So what could their challenges be? How does the brand benefit them? How is their day made better by the brand? And why does the brand exist? So this is about the motivation behind why the business started, why the employees work there. What's the purpose that this business is trying to achieve? Um, then we look at the competitive landscape and try to figure out what makes the competitors great, what almost makes them better as a solution, so that we can find what it is about Secure Cloud Plus that is different to the competition. And then the final bit we're looking at is what is the ultimate success of the business? So if they were fully successful, what is that ideal future that they're trying to build? What's the vision? And a nice way to look at this is if they're successful in that vision, in their future, then that business can just shut up shop. They're finished, mission achieved. So if we can try to paint a picture of what that future looks like, that always helps to give a direction for the brand. The one of the cornerstones of our process in the discovery stage is the brand workshop, the client workshop. So what we do is we get as many key shareholders or stakeholders in that business to well, we go to them or they come to us, and we spend half a day, sometimes longer, really delving into all those questions I just mentioned. Now we do that through questioning, through workshops, all sorts of different ways to try and get out that information we need. These are some examples of the questions that we asked Secure Cloud Plus. They tend to be either two types of question. We've got a kind of an abstract, broad question to kind of get them thinking and to see what route they take and leave them quite open to see where their kind of thinking goes. And then kind of with a juxtaposition of a very pointed, specific question, trying to delve into something we know is a kind of a key point that needs to be raised. So in our sessions, like I said, we do workshops quite a lot of the time. Some of the well, one of the key workshops we do is this brand belief cards. Now we developed these ones here. The idea behind them is that there's five core types of motivational purpose. Um, and what we do is we give the clients these cards and we ask them to compare. So they're double-sided. On each side, they're comparing against each other a type of purpose. So as they go through it, they're building a very broad picture of where they align themselves, what their broad purpose is. And this acts as a discussion point, really, and to shift up the day. So it's not just questions, it's quite fun, it's quite engaging, it's tactile. So yeah, it's just a different way to get that information out of them. So after we've done the discovery phase, which could be, well, it's going to be lots of desk research as well, lots of customer discussions, trying to figure out all the different pain points, sometimes brand immersion, if possible, testing out products. Anything we can do to get deeper into that brand, we do that in the discovery phase. So essentially, when you move on to the strategy, that's all about essentially how people feel about your brand. So, as a catch-all, that's how we view it. As I said before, we aim ourselves towards trying as much as possible to create a belief in a brand. So, the way we do that is through these core stages or categories. Now, each one of these, when they come together, is what can help foster a belief. So to start with, we always look at the motivation. What is it that helps that brand have something to stand for? Why did they start in the first place? And by having that kind of rallying cry, that's that thing to stand for, the customers, the audience can align to something, can have a shared idea that they're all working towards a similar purpose. And then the benefits really, that's how the business is actually helping day-to-day people, but in an emotive way. So it's not just the features, but it's actually how they change the day, how they make the audience feel, the customers feel. And then the credibility is the things that that brand can do to be seen as trustworthy, and as the choice for them. So when they all come together, you've got that belief from people, which will help them to make the decision to engage over the long term with that business. So I'm going to go through a light version of the strategy we did for Secure Cloud Plus. This was the purpose statement we crafted for them. So we are steadfast in our approach that secure collaboration enables defense to advance a stable world. So, as we were talking to them and as we started crafting the strategy, it was obvious, that straight away their view that the defense industry should be able to operate completely risk-free because any risk to this industry is actually hindering a stable world, hindering the world to be able to just prosper and people to prosper and the communities around those defense organizations that they're protecting is just hindering them. So this brand is all about if defense can work to its maximum, then the world can be stable. Now, words are important, and a good set of words can be just as powerful as an image. So when we're crafting these statements or these strategies, we pick the words very carefully. So in this case, the word steadfast and even the word stable were picked because there were strong, stable words, essentially, words that represented what that business was, how it's approaching it, and how the customers approach it as well. It's the unwavering, determined nature to will this to happen. So that those words were a key thing, and those words will come up throughout the whole strategy and throughout the whole design. So when you're looking at the motivations, that generally is very brand focused, very business focused, trying to gauge what wills that brand into action and what motivates it. And also that will resonate with people, but we also need to start to look at how you're actually helping the audience, how you're helping the customers. So we always look at the challenges that the customers are having. So the core challenges for Secure Cloud Plus's customers were keeping up with opponents. So obviously they're protecting these communities, and to do that they need to step ahead of any threats or any opponents that may be, trying to stop their their way of living, essentially. So that was a key thing I was looking for, new ways to keep ahead. They also wanted to work with intelligence, to be able to work more efficiently and to save time and save money so that those resources could be applied in better ways. And obviously ensuring need to know. This is all about keeping collaboration classified. So, you know, in order to do that, they needed to find ways to be able to have these communications among themselves, but in an encrypted or in a safe, secure way. So, how does Secure Cloud Plus solve those challenges? Well, essentially, they help their customers to keep ahead, because obviously the world is an increasingly unstable place. And with this technology, they can be more agile, be more reactive, and it's always cutting edge. So we've got to make sure they're using the newest um, technology platform so that they're always that step ahead. Uh, and then they're enabled because that software and platform even is yeah, it enables them to say to keep efficient and improves the day-to-day working of their business. And obviously protected against risks. So yeah, basically the platform creates a secure platform where they can just uh, collaborate efficiently. So the culmination of the strategic kind of route is all about the brand idea. When it all comes down to it, this page is what gives them the the cornerstone or the hook. It acts as a compass or a north star, so that the we give this to a customer and they can sense check against any decision they want to make going forward. So the brand idea for Secure Cloud Plus was to enable the unwavering defense of a stable world. And alongside a brand idea, we always give brand platforms or brand themes to give additional context. And as you'll see here, these are the same three things that build up the belief. So the motivation, the benefit, and the credibility. So obviously, to sum up each of those stages, the motivation behind the business is to advance the stable world. The benefit it gives is to enable a resolute defense. And the credibility of that is that they are the partners for secure collaboration. So, and I thought it'd be quite fun to sort of show you how, with a good strategy, really, you're going to start to notice patterns appearing. So, as you'll see, these sort of brand platforms echo the initial challenges that you were seeing right at the beginning of the strategy. So, from the discovery phase, the problems that customers are having echo throughout the strategy, and those three platforms uh, kind of inspire what goes on to be the brand personalities, the tone of voice, the the brand mood, all the different things that that strategy is going to involve. It all kind of is intertwined. None of it's a separate standalone element, essentially. It's all tied up neatly together and can be viewed as one. That's why the brand idea and the platforms are so strong because it encapsulates the whole strategy. And obviously, I've just gone through this really quickly. Um, there's a lot more depth and detail to the overall document, which I'll show a bit of it at the end. But that's a general overview of the strategic approach for Secure Cloud Plus. And what we tend to do is we'll use the brand personality archetypes as a framework to create the brand personalities. But we'll obviously create almost profiles around them as well, so they'll go into a lot more detail. And one thing that we tend to do as well is we won't just give them one um, personality. You know, no brand can just be the optimist, say, because uh, personalities where people and brands are multidimensional. They're not just a 2D uh, thing. So Yeah, so the Secure Cloud Plus brand personalities were a mix of the optimist, the innovator, and the ruler. So, they also echo the platforms. You've got the optimism of being able to advance a stable world, the innovation of enabling those customers to have a resolute defense, and the rulers, the authority of being the partner for secure collaboration. So you've defined the strategy at this point, and then, as always, you move into the design phase, and you're hit with the blank page. You've done all this work, and now you've got to start exploring and playing again, going, how do we now visualize this? You get lots of questions, and you've now got to start somewhere with this classic blank page. With Secure Cloud Plus, we always knew that we would have to tackle these particular challenges in the design stage. Um, because it's a B2B business, um, well, B2B technology business, we knew there would be no tangible product or no end service to particularly visualize either. It's also a very complex and technical service offering. So we knew we'd have to try and find ways to explain this. And as I sort of touched on at the beginning, there was no real photography route available to them. And specifically on that point, they wanted, and actually we all agreed very early on that the stock photography route would not be the right route for this. They had said as well that they didn't want to use military imagery, and they wanted to avoid phrases like battle hardened and battle ready, and any kind of military cliches that they were kind of using before. They wanted to move away from that. So what we did is the first step in the design stage is to go back to that brand idea. And that this is essentially why we create the brand idea to like I say, sense check what we're going to do. So we look back at it and we ask ourselves questions like what is unwavering defense? What does a stable world look like? What would a steadfast brand look like in this sort of context? So we pick it apart, and that is the go-to for like coming up with new ideas, sketching out different routes forward. And so yeah, we started playing with different logos, different brand styles, colors, typography, and then really thinking visually, how do we tell the story of something that's kept safe in the center, but is protected, and the collaboration can go on in a way where they're unhindered by anything that's happening outside them. Also, it needed to kind of be authoritative. It needed to be filled with energy still because it was optimistic and innovative. But yeah, it needed to look incredibly trustworthy, obviously, if it's going to mirror that ethos of defense and government. So here you can sort of see some initial ideas and where the final idea kind of come from. You can sort of see some bits in there. Looked at different colors. We explored many different routes for the colors. Obviously, looking at the more traditional blue for the technology, moving away from it, looking at more muted colors. We even explored different routes for the name as well. So it's something that Secure Cloud Plus wanted to explore was is the name relevant still? Did they was there a better name potentially? In the end, they decided to stick with Secure Cloud Plus, which is obviously where it goes forward from there. But we developed the initial concept, which you can start to see developing in these images. We presented the route that we were the happiest with, and the client got totally on board with it, and put their trust in us to go on and develop that brand really. Um, So that's where you get to with this, which is the brand's now developed. And what the brand that we ended up with relies on this concept of the insignia. So it's a graphic device, which is more than just the logo, and it will appear throughout the whole brand in lots of different ways, but I'll touch on that in a second. What I thought was really interesting the other week was one of our designers, JT, referred to this as the Secure Cloud Plus mascot, and I'd never seen it that way as we were all working on it. But I think it's a really good way to look at it because it isn't just the logo, essentially. It's something that represents the brand and has a personality and has meaning and shows up in lots of different ways. Um, so yeah, what is the insignia? It's the obviously it represents the strategy. So it's inside, it's the platform where the customer can innovate, experiment, and collaborate securely. Because all the way around the outside is the ring fence protective force field, say, where which keeps everything that's happening inside classified and secure. Now, it's key that this also represents energy, optimism, motion, momentum, keeping ahead. So that's where the gradient and the colors come in. But also, it is a stable, strong shape. It's a steadfast device. So we used cues from nature like the hexagon, but also it's inspired by military insignias. So the symbol of rank, the symbol of status and authority. It's also a bit like a shield and other authoritative kind of badges, essentially. So that's the idea behind the insignia. But like I said, it can show up in lots of different ways. It just has to capture this meaning. So we started to explore it in 3D formats. So, it can be literally the insignia as it is, but 3D. But also we started to use these gem-like images on the right there, which represent the exact same thing. You've got that hot, like white hot kind of collaborative, optimistic space in the center, protected by that force field or that glass shield. On the left, you've got a more textural kind of version of how you can start to represent the force field protecting that center. Again, it's using lots of different routes to give the brand adaptability so that it can say the same message but not grow tired and give the client lots of flexibility going forward. And again, here's another one of those gem insignias. And more recently, as we've started to roll out the brand, we've been looking at how this idea can be used in different ways as well. So on the right there, there's one of the most recent images we've developed to sort of show how some software or some products can look under one of their expertise, under one of their services. They start to obviously introduce these different softwares essentially. So that's then trying to utilize the collaborative idea protected by this shield, but also still with a nod to kind of a software icon. So then this is the developed brand. So here's some different visuals as it is today, really. So you'll see the insignia used in many different ways. We also developed a iconography set, again using that grid and following the structure of the insignia to kind of give consistency across the brand. These are the final colors we settled on. You got the muted authoritative colors mixed with the optimistic and colors of momentum and advancing of the green and the orange. The orange is obviously also a nod back to where they've come from as well. They were quite keen, they wanted to keep the orange. It's a great color because it also separates them quite nicely from, the cliches of the technology market. We also did all the copywriting for the brand as well. So again, using writing to tell that strategic story and also in a way that gives those the emotive feeling that's needed of authority and um, innovation and optimism and all those capturing the brand idea really and taking it forward. Um, so we took all that brand work and that strategy work and put it together into a brand guidelines document. This is the digital version of what we produced for them. So we take it all the different bits and pull it all together in the new brand, put it in a nice concise way so that when we hand over to the client, they can utilize it, they can roll it out, they know exactly what everything is, how to use it, what and a reminder of what the strategy is and how to represent the brand going forward. So this is generally the full strategy, some of the bits you haven't seen from before, but uh, it's all intertwined with the bits from the brand idea essentially. Um, so yeah, so that you kind of get to today now, and they've soft launched the brand already. So earlier in the year, they I think sort of April time, they soft launched the brand, and since then we've been rolling out different bits. This is a teaser of the new website, which should be coming either next month or in the new year. We've had some great feedback as well from the client and their customers have actually said that they look the part a lot more now. They look bigger than the size of the company. So goal achieved regarding those initial um, objectives really. So they're fed back with some great uh, success there. And yeah, we will also be rolling out a launch campaign of the website and the brand, a full launch campaign in the new year as well. So that's where we're at. So yeah, thanks for letting me talk you through that and hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, we're very excited to keep this brand rolling and seeing where it goes next.